Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just start on the basics here. This is my 16-channel Light-o-rama controller. It's sitting here behind this tree, but I have it painted black so it kind of blends in, so you really can't tell that it's really there when the show is actually going on. This is basically a 16 triacs. A triac is basically, it's a large transistor that's capable of turning on and off AC power in medium-sized loads. I think it's like 2 amps restrictions per. That's if if you have enough supply on there. And that actually, the Christmas lights plugs directly into the little pigtails here on the bottom. And then so these guys basically ramp up and ramp down and turn the Christmas lights on and off. These are just standard Christmas lights that runs across the lawn. I have red, green, blue, and white for this year. This is the Ethernet cable running from the Light-o-rama dongle back to my computer. And the other cable goes up to the other controller that I have. So I have my information here on when I built it and the actual unit number, so I make sure when I'm setting it up I put it out there, put it out here in the correct locations. In addition to this particular controller, this is for the Light-o-rama. Again, this is for the standard Christmas lights, so the icicles, the strobe lights on the Singing Santa character, which I'll show you in a sec. It has a controller up there as well, so all of those are done from this type of controller here. The candy canes over here, though, is using a different type of controller, because inside each one of these candy canes I have 10 of these pixels right here, and they all goes into right here. So this is just a little test string that I have for them. Okay. And these pixels, basically there's 3 wires, goes to each one of these pixels, pixel candy cane arches. So the first 4 here is one strand, so it goes up, comes around, comes back, loops back up, comes over, comes back around, and that's the end of one. And then I start the second one, and it comes up and comes around. So I have a total of 100 pixels for one particular candy cane. It comes into here, so 1, 2, 3 ports. So here's my power supply for this. This is a 350 watt power supply to be able to supply this. Again, this is just my little testers that I just leave in here, so if I need to test and troubleshoot this. Here's my Ethernet cable right here that goes back to my switch that's next to my computer. And then basically I receive DMX signals over E131 protocol. And then from there, basically, the pixel controller translates that and sends and addresses the actual pixels directly, and that's how I can actually do the effects for this. Now I have a very similar type of controller also that does the matrix display. The matrix display is a little bit different in that the pixel nodes are the flat type instead. I had Holiday Coro go ahead and do a custom design for me on the actual Coro plastic. They cut it, they did the design, they did the holes for me, set it all out, so they're basically ready to go. The pixels here are the flat type, and the holes were just a little bit, I mean they're perfect in size, but you want it to be slightly smaller, so I had to put a piece of tape across here, slit it, and then that way they actually stay in place just perfectly. This is 768 pixels to make this particular matrix display. It is ran off of the same type of controller running here. I just don't have a box that's big enough to hold the controller and the power supply in the same box. There's the Ethernet going to the computer as well, the network. Now I was going to try and run the entire show off of the Raspberry Pi that you see right here, but I was having some problems with some lag the way the software actually sends everything out. Because I had another piece that I was actually using, I have floodlights as well. There's my floodlights. So this is 4, 5, and 6 floodlights. Now my 1, 2, and 3 are a little bit different in that I'm just using the dumb strips, and so turning them on and off. Basically, I just use the dumb strips because it's so close to the eaves that I didn't have enough room to be able to have a big ugly bulb system, actual case. So, but these actually work very, very well in actually washing the wall with whatever color I want. That was my 1, 2, and 3. Now those go back to an NTech Pro, which is right down here. That's my NTech Pro. So I have RJ11 coming out of here, going up to each one of those floodlights, and that's how it gets its DMX signal. There's my network switch. That is my Ramsey FM transmitter. Okay. And then I have my desktop computer that I'm actually using for the actual light show. This is my singing Santa character. This is chain link tension wire, and then I use to make the frame, and then I take LED rope light and basically just zip tie it to it. The LED rope light I don't want lit. I just go ahead and mask off with electrical tape. There's the box for the roof line right there, and then I just turn on and off the certain channels just the way I want to be able to create the singing gestures that I need, and it works out pretty well. Okay, this is my computer system that I'm using to run this particular light show for this year. I usually develop my shows on a different computer and then just bring the sequences over to this. This is the obvious sequence editor that everybody's used to seeing, so there's basically my timeline view. But for actually doing effects like for this pixel matrix display, I don't use Light-o-rama to do that because it's obviously very tedious to do a sequence an image onto it using 760 individual pixels. So don't necessarily do it that way. So what I do is I usually use this program to generate the main sequences, and then from here I use a program called X-Lights with Nutcracker, and so from here I can go ahead and actually do some test and development of the actual matrix display. So from here I can easily use various effects that are already pre-canned. So there's a particular effect that I'm using for the actual matrix display. So I turn on that particular effect, and then it does the math and be able to generate those. And I can also turn around and I can do an actual picture and do various effects with those pictures. One of the things I also did was I took candy canes and I just drew them, very, very simple, and then I used a different effect overlay to basically generate the red and the whites. That way it actually looks like striped candy canes. But the actual graphic for that was very, very simple. It was just a simple, just a little black and white little image. So very, very simple design. This was for my Candyman sequence. But again, everything, I start off with Light-o-rama, and then I bring everything over here to X-Lights. I just do the polish up with the matrix display on X-Lights, and then I run everything from X-Lights as the actual sequence, as the actual scheduler, and actually runs the actual show. So I just basically import it in. Now, as far as how I got some of the other special things, like the actual voice, like for example the Grinch and for Olaf, that was pretty simple actually. What I did was I used a program called Papagayo to generate the effects. But this is my Olaf character. There's 9 different images used to generate a singing Olaf. And what I use is a program called Papagayo, save the actual output file. So from Papagayo I can take the words, basically has a dictionary with instructions that says in order to make this particular word phrase, you have to use the mouth gestures in this certain way. You basically polish that up and open the actual Papagayo file with X-Lights, and then from there I can turn on or off individual channels, or I can turn on or off certain images that I'm going to be using to display on my actual pixel matrix display. So it's a pretty neat setup. I wish I had a little bit more granularity and timeline view on X-Lights, but right now I have to use basically both sets in order to be able to, or both programs, to be able to do the desired effects. And hope you really enjoyed the show this year. Thanks.